COVID-19 is a pandemic the world is not prepared for. When we talk about persons with disabilities, they face a lot of discrimination. 50% of them are women and girls with disabilities who are facing every day in their lives the gender-based violence, sexual harassment, and they are not getting the access to the sexual health and reproductive rights. We are witnessing thousands of women with disabilities are dying every day just because of unavailability of the resources and the services. We cannot wait for another decade to see the change. We have to work today. We have to join hands today to work with influence the state representative, UN, international organizations. And we have to show the solidarity among the movements to work for the rights of women and girls with disability. I commit myself to do work for the rights of women and girls with disability through empowering them, to giving them the voice and the platform. And we need to encourage them to work for their rights.
The COVID-19 pandemic has turned our life upside down, but it has also taught us a new way of living with social unity and resilience. During the lockdown, many women's shelters in Nepal were unable to provide the needed services to respond to the escalating violence against women, particularly domestic violence. I helped in conducting dialogues and in developing a national shelter management protocol. And I commit to continue to advocate for shelter support as essential services that will remain open to those who seek service at all times. As a CEDAW committee member, I led the development of a CEDAW guidance note on COVID-19, and I commit to strengthen accountability of member states, urging them to include prevention and redress of women and girls as a key part of the national response programs. Engaging with the youth is, I think, critical. I have organized several youth webinars on generation equality, and I commit to continue learning, sharing, and uniting with the youth as key agents to end violence against women.
I'm Helen Clark, and I'm joining the call for action issued by the Partnership for Maternal, Newborn and Child Health, calling on governments to step up prevention programs to tackle the violence which is occurring against women, children and adolescents. In the context of COVID-19 and the lockdowns, we have seen women and children at vastly greater risk of domestic violence. This is a blight and a scourge on all our societies, and it has to stop. We need funding, we need investment into programs proven to work to stop this violence. I call on everyone to unite around this call and stop violence against women for once and for all.
This pandemic has been very difficult for all of us, but for some even more. We thought it was a privilege to be under a roof, to be safe, but stay home, stay safe. The irony of that for many women and children cannot be ignored. Domestic violence has been on a rise ever since the lockdown. Many women are locked up with their perpetrators. In fact, many are even calling it the shadow pandemic. I made a 7-minute short film called Listen to Her, more as a spontaneous response to what is happening around us. One does feel very helpless that we are not able to do much. So I think the least we can do is to commit ourselves, and I commit myself, that when we see any form of violence around us, people that we know, even if we get any sense of it, that we will do something about it. We will not ignore it. We will not let it slide. We will not tell the person to try one more time and tolerate it. So I think let's all commit to breaking this silence around domestic violence, which is considered a private matter, but it isn't. It is a human rights issue. It concerns all of us. So let's all begin by breaking that silence together.
I am making a personal commitment to ensure that our schools are not breeding ground for perpetrators, that we have a zero tolerance policy for any and all forms of victim blaming within our school communities, and that we incorporate comprehensive sexuality education into our curriculum, where we teach young girls and femmes that they have a right to loudly and boldly say no, and for young boys to know that they are not entitled to other people's bodies, and that no means no.
In our culture, when domestic violence happen, people will believe that it's a family issue, family matter, so the outsider should not get involved. When you hear or see someone being violent to someone you know or some stranger, don't be bystander. You don't have to be a social worker like me. You don't have to be an activist. You don't have to be the CEO, or you don't have to be police. You just be you. You can be a friend, you can be a sister, you can be a mother, and just do something. I think it is possible for us to have a world without violence, but I think it starts with our voice and action.